KFI AM 640 is later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Instagram. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. And here's a quick update. It's been a whole 24 hours and we've not received a declination email from Arnold Robinson regarding Eddie Murphy. So we're still in the hunt. We're still in the hunt. We've never gotten this far in the game. You know how you go to uncharted territory in a video game? It's like, I don't know what to do now. We've never gotten this far. Well, we're further in the game than ever before. They haven't turned us down as of yet because usually Arnold will hit us back immediately inside of an hour or two with an email saying Eddie is not available to participate. So
I'm having a flashback to the Dumb and Dumber movie where Jim Carrey says, so that's not a no?
Are you on our team or not?
So you're saying there's a chance.
Oh, I want this to happen for you because you're obsessed.
And we're
Yes, I am.
And the hashtag, what's the hashtag again? You guys were talking about it last night.
Waiting for Eddie.
Hashtag waiting for Eddie.
Like waiting for Godot.
Really?
Yes. Waiting for Eddie.
Momigos, you know what to do.
You can see it right now if you tune into the YouTube show. You can see it, Waiting for Eddie, day one. We have 1 day in. Now, it doesn't mean that we'll get any response at all.
That's
okay?
awesome. I just saw that.
It doesn't mean that, but at least for now,
That's so cool.
as far as I'm concerned, we're still in the running. We have not been eliminated from contention. Fingers still crossed. So we'll have a Waiting for Eddie update each day until they tell us no, if they tell us no. But coming up later on the show tonight, get ready. The heat wave is coming to California, and we have to prepare accordingly. That means prepare for yourself, prepare for your pets, prepare for the elderly, anyone in your household. We'll have some information for that. Along those lines, hospitals are also preparing. We have an LA Metro update, and let me give you the short end of it. It's not good, and people don't feel safe. There it is. We'll tell you more in just a moment at the bottom of the hour. And what would you do if you're on a flight and it gets diverted because someone's pet falls ill? I don't know how I would respond. If I'm on a nonstop flight from there to Los Angeles and all of a sudden we stop off in maybe, I don't know, Minneapolis because someone's dog got sick. We'll tell you about that before the hour's through. And here we go, Mark. If you go to a party, like a wine and cheese party, a mixer.
Yeah, I go to a ton of wine and cheese parties.
Appetizers.
You know me so well.
Do you ever take your potato chip, dip it, take a bite, and then dip that same chip back in the dip?
No, that's grounds for immediate excommunication from all your friends.
You're not cool with double dipping.
You can double dip with maybe your spouse, your significant other, but that's it. Or your kids.
Tawala, are you down with double dipping?
I don't even know about that, Mark.
Really?
Nope. I will tell my kids, here, you can have your own. Do not put your chip in my food. I will pour some onto your plate. Have your own. Don't dip into mine.
What about...
And if you double dip, whew.
Well, okay, so in polite society outside the family, absolutely not. You're a filthy animal if you do that. But like when you were married, would you not like take a bite out of the same sandwich as your wife?
Oh no.
You know things that piss me off.
No.
The whole thing of can I have some of yours?
No.
Why didn't you just order some when I said you can have some?
No.
Look,
Don't
you
get
should've got your own.
sidetracked. That's a whole separate issue. So let's stay focused. Just on sharing germs. That's what we're talking about.
We're talking about sharing germs. There are times that I will share germs with my wife.
Right.
You know what?
But if I'm at like a public function and let's say I'm at a fight party, and we're going to get into this in depth in the second hour. But if I'm at a fight party and there's a bowl of chips and dip and everyone, look, I have a problem with people just putting their dirty ass hands in the chips. That's number one.
Number one.
Absolutely. Yeah, use tongs. You've got to use tongs.
Right. And put it on your plate and then you take it from your plate.
Yes.
Let's say I take it from my plate and I put it in the dip, the community dip. And I take a bite of that chip and there's still chip in my hand. I am not allowed by law, biblical law, to put that same chip back in that dip.
You might get slapped.
Okay, but there's now research out that double dipping scientifically may not lead to germ spread.
I don't care.
We're going to get into it in hour two. So keep your powder dry. And we have an ongoing conversation in a way about cannabis. You know that I'm not a fan. And when I say I'm not a fan, invariably someone will email me. Someone will reach out to me in messages. Sometimes it's a text message, someone I personally know. Someone will send me a message on Instagram. And invariably they will tell me, it's like, well, Mo, you know that cannabis is safer than alcohol. It's non-addictive and doesn't have the health thing. It won't necessarily be as unhealthy as alcohol. Well, I've always argued that we have not had the body of study, long-term impact of use of marijuana, if only because relatively recently have we had it legalized where you could effectively study it and the use of it over the period of years and even a generation.
Yep.
Some of that information is in, and it's not good for you daily cannabis users. We'll tell you about that
Mark
before the show.
Wait a minute. Is this from Doctors Cheech and or Chong? Where are you getting this?
No,
It's
Mark
from
Ronner.
Dr. RFK Jr.
Yeah. Yeah, we know how reliable that is.
No, it's actually from a study. I don't know how legitimate it is. You can come to your own conclusion.
Look, Mark is going to be against it.
What are you talking about? How am I suddenly the spokesmodel for this?
Puff, puff, pass, Mr. Ronner.
Edible.
Of the four of
choo,
us,
choo.
of the four of us on this show,
Yes.
which one of us looks like a stoner?
What talking about looks like a stoner? We're talking about who is a stoner.
Wait, but you.
Looks is.
I will not be scapegoated in this
Stephen?
fashion.
Now,
Do you indulge, Stefan?
You and Foosh could do a Cheech and Joe.
Oh, come on.
Stefan, do you
Move on.
indulge?
Yeah, I used to vape, but it started to affect my throat, so I switched to edibles.
Okay.
There you go.
Mark,
What?
do you indulge?
I believe in the law. That's all I'm going to say.
We know it's legal.
It is the law.
Your Honor, permission to treat as a hostile witness.
Asked and answered. I've been in depositions.
Your Honor.
He's already admitted to it before.
This is not a deposition.
When you say your honor, are you calling my name? It's like you're saying your honor. Yes, I'm.
We're
Honor.
not giving you
Move
a
on.
honor. We're saying your honor.
Your honor. Move on.
you are not the judge in this trial. You're not the presiding.
I've just declared myself.
Your
the
name's
judge,
not on the show, my
and,
friend.
You're out of order. You're all out of order.
You are insane.
You can't handle the truth.
The whole system's out of order.
Who are you, Nino Brown?
He's hiding from the law.
I will not go along with this railroading that you're attempting.
It's later with Mo Kelly. We have a Heatwave update when we come back, and it is day one officially of waiting for Eddie, as in Murphy. KFI AM 640 live everywhere, the iHeartRadio app, on YouTube, looking at you right now, and also on Instagram.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
The weather was kind of weird today, or at least where I'm living. KFI AM 640, YouTube, Instagram, iHeartRadio app. It's later with Mo Kelly. When I was waking up and over the course of the early part of the day, it was kind of overcast. It was cool. And I was wondering, like, am I going to put on my spring clothes or am I going to put on my winter clothes? And then I saw the news report that it's going to be real hot. And I knew it was going to be hotter, but I couldn't reconcile what was going on in my neighborhood versus what we're supposed to be getting ready to experience. And at least one California hospital is preparing for a surge in patients presenting with heat-related illness as a heat wave is coming all across this state. Now, the National Weather Service has already issued a guidance ahead of the surge in temperatures this weekend, and it varies inland versus the coastline and so forth. But we told you about Antelope Valley and other places which are going to be over 100 degrees this weekend. I bet you didn't know this. I didn't know this, and I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to pass it on. Did you know that extreme heat causes more than 1,200 deaths in the U.S. each year? Just the heat. I'm not talking about the extreme winter. We know about the cold and how people will die during the winter. But sometimes we forget about the extreme heat all around the country. We talked yesterday how dry heat may feel differently than the humidity of the East Coast, the Midwest, and the South. Nonetheless, 102 is 102, and there'll be a lot of areas in Southern California and Central California which will top 100 degrees. Now, I can't speak for the totality of the weather. Maybe Mark Ronner knows. If not, it's okay.
Oh, thank you for that. What's the question, Morris?
Had to pull up my
Always
government
got to
name.
say the government.
I want clarification, please.
Okay, William. For those who don't know, he and I have the same middle name or something like that.
Yes.
The question was, beyond California, or I should say maybe just in California, am I accurate in sharing the information that we should expect 100-degree temperatures over some of Southern California and Central California?
Yeah, it's going to be hot until Sunday. Sunday we'll get, I think, maybe a 10-degree break.
Okay. All right. So if you have plans, please keep in mind if you're going to be outside or you're going to be with people who would be more susceptible to the heat, you have to be mindful of the temperatures which you'll be experiencing definitely on Saturday. And hospitals are preparing for the likelihood of people who are not prepared for the heat who end up having to go to the hospital because of heat exhaustion or heat stroke or some combination thereof. And it can be very dangerous. You may think that, oh, it's just maybe 90, 95 degrees. But let's say you're a little bit older. Let's say you haven't had enough water to drink. That's something else that I swear by. I only drink water with my meals, something that helps me from getting dehydrated. And let's say you're someone who likes to maybe go to a baseball game. You may go to a baseball game. You have a beer or two and you're sitting out in the sun and you're not drinking water. Next thing you know, you are suffering from heat exhaustion and dehydration. And you see it whenever I go to a Dodgers game. Invariably, I will see someone, especially if it's a hot day, being carted away on a stretcher because they most likely had some beer or some alcohol in that sun. And then you're out there for 2 hours or 3 hours. The next thing you know, they're having to call the paramedics. So this is something that you must be mindful of in advance. And it doesn't take a lot. And it's something I do. And Twala, you see me, I drink nothing but water. I'll get the occasional Powerade because I just want some taste every now and then, but I just drink water. And you always clown me. We were talking about having the donuts and everything. What do I wash it down with? Water.
Cookies.
Yeah, right. Water.
Water.
Nice cold water with that sweet
I was going to ask.
That's normal.
So when you go out to dinner, like with your wife, and you get like a steak or something, or you get whatever you get, you still just have water?
Always water.
So not like
not
wine
even bubbly water?
No, it's got to be flat. I don't know. I don't want any type of carbonation. And it's rare that I will have wine with my meal. That's just,
Okay,
I don't need to
hang
pair up my
on
food.
here. That's not
No, he just does water.
Yeah, I just drink water. That's
so,
it.
like, when you have like a cocktail, is it just, that's on its own?
No, but I'll also have water alongside. Like if I have my
Have water to chase down the cocktail? What are you doing?
Yes, I'm being serious because I'll get my Jack Double Neat.
Okay.
And then I'll also have a glass of water so I'm not dehydrated at the end of the evening.
It's the dehydration that causes the hangover.
Yeah.
Mark, come on, help me out with this one.
Fair
You know
enough.
exactly
You
what I
don't
mean.
want a bit of the hangover? So you're chasing it away immediately?
If I go to sleep after having my Jack and not having an equal amount of water, that's how I wake up with feeling like I was licking the rug. And my head is swollen.
Careful.
You know, it doesn't, the carpet. The carpet.
It's not better.
You're not helping.
That's not better.
No.
I'm like,
The shag?
Choose your
I
words
don't
more
know. I
carefully.
don't know. Did not when going to bed. No, this change that altogether.
I don't know what you think you're doing.
I'm sure your wife is used to it, but did she think
Wait,
it was
what?
Oh, hey.
Wait, what? Foos, that's a little too personal.
Okay.
Jeez, Louise.
Let's take a step back.
What are we doing?
Okay, keep my wife out of this conversation.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Somebody's getting smacked.
You were saying Chris Rock.
Chris Rock? No, I was saying she's probably used to it now that you have water all the time, but did she think that was weird?
Used to what?
Drink water with everything.
I don't think she thought it was weird because she is healthier than I am in just about everything. So me drinking water didn't seem strange. And it's something I actually got from my father because he would only have water at his meals. And it was something that I just kind of picked up along the way. No, I don't do like
cranberry juice.
Orange juice?
Maybe when I'm on a cruise and I'm a little less stringent about what I drink. Yeah, then I'll have like a cranberry juice or orange juice at breakfast, but I don't buy the sweetened juices. I just don't. You won't find them in my house.
So you're just like that, just Mr. H2O.
Tuala, we call
Carnicia's
those
trying to
juices
clown.
mixers.
So
What about homemade lemonade? Like that's fresh.
That's 4th of July. That's 4th of July.
4th of July party.
Yeah.
It's only celebration?
And you've seen it. No, you've seen it. When we come over to the house, we'll have the homemade lemonade, and my sister will bring the sangria or something. That's the time that I may partake. But I'm very conscious about not being dehydrated.
is she the same way?
My sister?
No, your wife. Like with the water.
No, she'll have other stuff that she'll drink with her meals. She's
Okay.
not as strict as I am when it comes to water with meals.
Got it.
So this is just you.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Why is this funny?
Carnicia just thinks it's
I don't
hilarious.
know. It's like my mouth is just dry thinking about it.
No, this is strange because I've been waiting to mock you for your polo shirts, and these guys are zeroing in on your water consumption, which is entirely normal.
Okay, let's go to the Motown chat. The Mo Migos are talking on YouTube. Tommy Godlow says, there's so many delicious drinks out there, Mo. You're missing out. No, I'm not. I'm just saying I would
You
rather.
are. He's right.
Mario says, I'm the same way as Mo. So,
Both
okay.
y'all just
Mario
said-
says, I only drink
I mean,
water all
your-
day.
your
Thank you,
meals
Do you
Mario.
are
even
bland.
like put
Thank
the
you,
crystal
Mario.
light in your water? What about like the crystal light?
I
or
have.
like
That's
the,
too much damn work. Let me just
Wait,
get
what?
the water, the filter from
Oh
the
my
refrigerator
God.
and drink the water. Go. I'm not trying to open up that little packet and shake it
They
in
have
there.
it. No, they have it now where you can just squirt it in. They have crystal lights.
Yeah.
It's not a big
That's
deal.
what I have.
It's not a big deal, okay? What is wrong with me just drinking water straight up?
No,
It would
no,
be
no.
different if I were an alcoholic and I drink
Mo,
nothing
you
but Jack
can
with my
drink your
meals.
water, but just with the meal, something tasty to wash it down, not just water.
I don't need something tasty. I just need something to wash it down.
Tommy Goodlove wants to know if you have water when we go to the movies. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'll get a bottle of
Yeah,
water.
he get a bottle of water.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right. He did.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he does.
That's
he
all I
sits with
get.
this water. It's weird. I don't understand it.
Not
now.
that y'all ask, but I feel compelled to defend myself. It makes other bodily functions much smoother, okay?
This is true.
I'm being very honest now.
I love that this is where
Okay.
Mark backs you up.
Hey, watch your mouth.
This
I
is
mean,
not a
look.
position I wanted to be in,
I just,
but it's where we are.
I just think, yeah, you can drink enough water in a day, but when you get to a meal, take a break, have something tasty.
Are you one of these kind of people who has to have something sweet to drink all the time?
Yeah.
Is that the
No,
deal?
no,
See,
no.
I don't have to worry about diabetes.
I have
That's
a
for
bottle
sure.
with me that I refill with water all day long. I
Same.
drink at least 6 of these 16-ounce, or actually, this is actually a 20-ounce bottle. I drink about 6 of these a day. But when I sit down, I want to eat my meal. I want something tasty
Like
to go
what?
with.
Like what?
Anything, soda,
Soda,
juice.
Okay, look,
juice,
look,
yeah.
okay. I don't drink juices. By and large, I don't drink any soda at all.
Nah.
That's fine.
None. And my only real indulgence, and I reserve it for Saturdays,
It's
is
Jack.
Jack. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my, I'm completely down.
Jack on Saturdays. This is some type of, I don't know, like,
Look,
are you a Mormon? I mean, what are you doing?
a Mormon.
A Mormon. I will
Tuala, send your hate mail at Mr. Tuala Sharp.
I will say this though.
He's only got the one wife.
He doesn't mess around when it comes to Jack.
Yeah.
Because
that's pretty
I
good.
drank with him once and he
Right, we were at the movie theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he goes pretty hard in on it, so I'll give him that. But it's
Dang, now he's alcoholic.
No, I was just
He
saying.
goes
no,
hard on
when
the
he,
Jack.
when he does have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
I told you when I was on the ship, I was like 6 Jacks in. I mean, I'm not trying to present myself as someone who's pristine.
Oh, 6 is good. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like defending you, but I'm in favor of that.
Thank you very much. All right. How are you going to mock me being somewhat healthy?
No, it's just there's limits.
And then you go from 0 to 100. Like you go from water to alcohol. You don't have nothing. in
No. See, Carnicia's not listening to the conversation. I said when I have my Jack, I'm chasing it with water to avoid being dehydrated.
So not even then. So not even then.
It's
just-
that balance that makes
Thank
the
you.
occasional drink okay to have.
Yes.
It is-
I don't have hangovers. I do not for that reason.
It is so weird to see Mark and
Didn't you
Mo
learn
on
this
the
out
same
of
team.
any
Yeah,
years
we
of
got to stop
drinking?
this.
I don't
Goodness,
know,
you
man.
need to get better as you get older.
Okay.
You should learn something. Don't have any hangovers. You can laugh at me all you want, but I do not have hangovers.
Hang on to your teeth. You need teeth in your old
That's
age.
right. And I don't. Here's another thing for you
Is this
young
where we're
drinkers.
at?
No,
The
for
teeth?
look, we got to go to break. I know. For the young drinkers out there, don't get bogged down with these mixers. Okay, if you're going to get these exotic drinks with all this sugar and That's how you get sick.
That'll mess you up.
That's how you get hangovers. You want to go straight to the alcohol, mainline the alcohol, not the mixers. That's why I get Jack neat. You don't need Jack and Coke. It's extra sugar.
He's right.
Wow.
My
Thank you,
God.
Mr. Honor.
My God.
I mean, you guys sound like two old men sitting in a
But
Muppet movie
enjoying
theater or something.
our drinks, that's for sure.
Look at these kids. They don't know how to drink.
They don't. They don't.
What is happening
Tommy
here?
Godlove says Mo must have a gallon of water next to his bed at night. No, it's only 16 ounces. It's not a gallon. Laugh all you want. It's okay. I'm not sensitive. It's later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640, live on YouTube, Instagram, and the iHeartRadio app. Of course, you can hear we're talking to the folks in Motown, the Mo Migos. They have their comments. We'll read your comments live on air.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
I remember standing right across from me when the smelly vagrant lost his mind. I remember an old man pooping next to me on the LA Metro.
KFI AM 640. It's later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube, Instagram, and the iHeartRadio app, and we had a very robust conversation in the hallway that we're going to start putting on YouTube specifically for the show, where we'll have a conversation on air and it carries off air in the hallway. So we will add those to the YouTube special so you can see that in addition to the live broadcast. But we were so far over last segment, it's going to truncate this segment, but I have to get to this. We talk about Metro. We talk about safety or lack thereof. And I tell people all the time, safety is a feeling. It's not something which is tangible. You could do X, you could do Y, you could do Z, and people either feel safe or they don't. And the feeling of lack of safety or security is not invalid. It doesn't mean that Metro may not be trying everything they can. They're not there yet. But I'm saying one doesn't necessarily dictate the other. Here's a perfect example of that. Or like before when they talked about the safety or the crime statistics and they say, hey, crime is down 5%. And I said, well, can someone feel 5% safer? Either you feel safe or you don't. You don't have varying levels of feelings of safety. Feel safe or you don't. This is what I mean. Let's say that you're a high school student, a young person, an adolescent, like David Aguirre. He has an hour and a half commute between South LA and Roosevelt High School in Boyle Heights, where he goes to school. This is what David had to say. Quote, using public transportation, I feel unsafe. It's unsanitized. Who said that? Who has been saying that all the time? That's me. He goes on. He's 17, by the way. There's always crime happening around, and as a student, it feels really dangerous. David seems very mature for his age. Again, he said, there's always crime happening around, and as a student, it feels really dangerous, close quote. I have always said that you need to have the Metro Police Force. You need to have an officer, if possible, on the buses, on the trains, on the platforms. Does that eliminate crime? Absolutely not. But you are increasing what I would call the safety quotient. You're doing as much as possible to increase the likelihood of having an eventless journey. In other words, something where nothing happens, where you don't have an incident, where you don't have a criminal episode, and you're doing all that you can as Metro to increase the safety quotient, or you're mitigating the crime, you're mitigating the times in which people are going to be made uncomfortable or going to be harassed. That's all that you can do. Metro is not at that point. They've been implementing half measures. They're doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, nibbling around the edges. They're not doing all they can, which would help people, say it with me, feel safer. And if you're a young person, going back to David Aguirre in this story, I can empathize and understand where he's coming from. Let's say you're going to school and you have your school computer. Depending on the school you go, you might be given one of those Chromebooks that you're responsible for. That's a value. That makes you a target. Let's say you have your own, MP3 player or your own phone. Those things are valuable. That makes you a target. I understand, especially with any gang activity, why you would feel uncomfortable being on Metro. And he also details where a lot of his classmates and other people his age, they also either, this is my interpretation, they're carrying weapons or some sort of deterrent for would-be harassers, people who would try to victimize them. If he's 17 and feels unsafe when he is physically more adept than most people to protect himself, how do you think a 45-year-old woman would feel? How do you think a 60-year-old woman would feel? How would you, as a mother who has 2 children with her, feel? We're talking about feeling safe. All these things work together. The only way that you're going to change how safe people feel is making sure that people know that you're doing everything within your power, Metro, to make people safer. And then, after a protracted length of time, then riders can begin to feel safer. If I told you that you're getting on an airplane and that airliner is not doing everything they can to make sure that you're going to arrive safely at your destination, would you feel safe? Absolutely not. If you knew fundamentally that such and such airlines is not doing everything within its power to make sure that the plane you get on and the pilots who are at the controls are doing everything they can to make sure that you safely arrive at your next destination, there's no way in the world that you will ever feel safe. Now, they can tell you, hey, we're checking our planes once every 2 weeks. Or they can say, hey, we hired the top mechanics. But if you know they're not doing everything, you will never feel completely safe. There is some commonality here. There is a point of comparison. Because we know that Metro's not doing everything in its power as of yet to make sure everyone feels safe. And the security component is inextricably linked to the Metro Transit Authority, which is supposed to be on the Metro PD, which needs to be on these trains, on these buses, on these platforms. Not until then, and only then, will people begin to start feeling safer, just like young David Guerra, and not a moment before. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640 Live, everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. If you're tuning in on YouTube, you can go to Motown and hang out with the other Momigos, send us some comments, and we'll read some of them on the air. And they're getting really out of control right about now. No, I'm not going to read that, the creamy one. No, I'm not going to read that on the air. But send us some nice comments. We'll read them on the air. Join in the fun. Join in the show.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI is Later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube, Instagram, and the iHeartRadio app. And imagine this. Let's say you're on a flight from Detroit to Los Angeles on Memorial Day. In other words, you're traveling probably home for the holiday weekend to close out the holiday. And most likely, if you're flying Detroit to LA, that is a nonstop. You're thinking when you get on the plane, you're going to stay on the plane until you reach your destination. But Delta Flight 694 departed Detroit around 5:30 p.m. and was scheduled to arrive at LAX 5 hours later. That's a nonstop flight. But the flight ended up detouring to Minneapolis due to a medical emergency. Well, you think, yeah, I could understand that. If someone fell ill on the flight and they needed immediate medical attention, of course, you would probably detour to the nearest place that you could land and then have paramedics handle and help that person. The crew, though, on this flight was informed that a dog on the flight had become ill, and a veterinarian who happened to be on board was assisting with its care. Ultimately, the decision was made to divert the plane to the nearest major airport so the pet and its owner could deplane. Medical personnel were on the ground waiting for the plane's arrival, met the dog and its owner after they deboarded, and a diversion delayed 181 passengers and 6 crew members for more than 2 hours. And here is the question. It's a very simple and basic one. Would you be upset? Would you be understanding? Would you be sympathetic? Mind you, you thought you were on a nonstop flight. And there's a distinct possibility that not everyone on this flight was going to end their trip in LA. If you've ever flown before, you'll fly in LA, and some people go on to Seattle, they'll go on to San Diego, they'll go on to San Francisco, or maybe even Phoenix, depending on the airline and the route. I know a lot of people were inconvenienced. Now, it's one thing when I would tell you that it had to do with a person, but we're talking about someone's dog. And I say this as a dog owner. I don't know how I would feel as a traveler, because I paid for the nonstop. Now we would have to ask the question. Now, did the airline offer any, I don't know, discount? Did they give like some sort of rebate, a free flight? This is Delta. What do they do to compensate the passengers who were inconvenienced? Because I'm thinking you have to do something for the people you inconvenience. I'm not blaming the dog. I'm not even blaming the owner of the dog. I'm saying that as a business, if I pay for a nonstop flight and I don't get that nonstop flight and I'm getting in 2 hours later and possibly I miss my connection, you got to do something for me, right? I love the dog, but you got to do something for me. I didn't want to spend an extra 2 hours in Minneapolis. I've been to Minneapolis. There ain't nothing there. There's nothing in Minneapolis. There's a mall. That's it. There's a Target headquarters. Not much else. I don't want to go to Minneapolis. The last time I was in Minneapolis was 2008, and that was for the RNC. That's the last time. That was the first and last time I've been to Minneapolis. Nothing special there. And I know if I'm flying from Detroit to LA, I would like to fly nonstop, 5 hours. And then it turned into an 8-hour trip. Am I being unreasonable here? Am I being unfair here? Because on my ticket, it says I'm going straight to LA. And I know stuff happens. The dog got sick. And you had a veterinarian who confirmed the dog is sick. That being said, not my problem. Not my problem. I'd be feeling like I'm Ivan Drago. If he dies, he dies. Is that being unfair? I don't think so. Is that being heartless? Is that being cruel? Because if we diverted every time someone got sick, not deathly ill, but sick, there would be a real problem with airline travel. I don't know. I just have to say the dog is just going to have to tough it out for another 3.5 hours. What's the worst that could happen? Okay, it dies. But I mean, it's going to take at least another 2 hours before they got that dog to a dog hospital. Delta would owe me some money. That much I do know. And that's part of the reason, serious point, that's part of the reason why I do not fly with my dogs. I do not. Because I'm not going to put my dogs in that position, and I'm not going to put fellow passengers in that position. And I've noticed when I get on planes now, everybody and their mama wants to bring their dog on the plane. That's a new phenomenon. I'd never experienced anything like that. And I'm not talking about service dogs. I'm talking about their pet Rover. And they'll put them, and some are not even in like any type of container. They're just on the plane, sitting where you put your luggage under the seat. Some dogs are very well behaved. Some are not. And I'd have to think, I didn't pay for that. Air travel is getting more and more uncomfortable. And we've gotten more and more permissive when we fly. All I know is if you bring your dog on and your dog gets sick, that's on you. You made that decision. Don't penalize me. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640 live everywhere on YouTube, Instagram, and the iHeartRadio app.
Perfect for achy, indecisive minds. KFI's cooling Info Gel quickly relieves ignorance and leaves a minty fresh scent.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio.